safely turn around, she simply kept going until she found her way again. And a sensible person did not start imagining she heard things in the storm, like voices. Should have stayed in Dublin, she told herself grimly as she bumped over a rut. In Dublin, with its busy streets and crowded pubs, Ireland had seemed so civilized, so modern, so urbane. But no, she just had to see some of the countryside, hadn't she? Just had to rent a car, buy a map, and head out to explore. But honestly, it had been a perfectly reasonable thing to do. She'd intended to see the country while she was here, and perhaps find a few treasures for her family's antique shop back in Boston. She'd intended to wander the roads, to drive to the sea, to visit the pretty little villages and the great grand ruins. Hadn't she booked her stay in a licensed bed and breakfast for each night that she'd be traveling? Confirmed reservations ensured there would be no inconvenience and no surprises at the end of each day's journey. Hadn't she precisely mapped out her route and each point of interest, how long she intended to stay, studying each? She hadn't anticipated getting lost. No one did. The weather report had indicated some rain, but this was Ireland, after all. It had not indicated a wild, windy, wicked thunderstorm that shook her little car like a pair of dice in a cup and turned the long, lovely summer twilight into raging dark. Still, it was all right. It was perfectly all right. She was just a bit behind schedule, and it was partly her own fault. She'd lingered a bit longer than she intended at Powers Court Domain on her way south, and a bit longer again at the churchyard she'd come across when she headed west. She was certainly still in County Wicklow, certainly somewhere in Avondale Forest, and the guidebook had stated that the population through the forested land was thin, the villages few and far between. She had expected to find it charming and atmospheric, a delightful drive on her way to her night stay in Enniscorthy, a destination she'd been scheduled to reach by 7:30. She tipped up her arm, risked a quick glance at her watch, and winced when she saw she was already a full hour late. Doesn't matter. Surely they wouldn't lock the doors on her. The Irish were known for their hospitality. She intended to put that to the test as soon as she came across a town, a village, or even a single cottage. Once she did, she'd get her bearings again. But for now... She stopped dead in the road, realizing she hadn't even seen another car for over an hour. Her purse, as ruthlessly organized as her life, sat on the seat beside her. She took out the cell phone she'd rented, turned it on, and swore softly when the readout told her, as it had since she'd driven into the forest far enough to realize she was lost, that she had no signal. Why don't I have a signal? She nearly rapped the phone against the steering wheel in frustration, but that would have been foolish. What is the point of renting mobile phones to tourists if they're not going to be able to use them? She put the phone away, took a deep breath. To calm herself, she closed her eyes, tilted her head back, and allowed herself 2 minutes of rest. The rain lashed the windows like whips. The wind continued its feral howl. At jolting intervals, the thick darkness was split by yet another lance of blue-edged lightning. But Kayleen sat quietly, her dark hair still tidy in its band, her hands folded in her lap. Her mouth, full and shapely, gradually relaxed its tight line. When she opened her eyes, blue as the lightning that ripped the sky, they were calm again. She rolled her shoulders, took one last cleansing breath, then eased the car forward. As she did, she heard something, whisper her name. Kayleen. Instinctively, she glanced to the side, out the rain-spattered window into the gloom. And there, for an instant, she saw a shadow take shape, the shape of a man. Eyes, green as glass, glittered. She hit the brakes, jerking forward as the car slid in the mud. Her heart raced, her fingers shook. Have you dreamed of me? Will you? Fighting fear, she quickly lowered the window, leaned out into the driving rain. Please, can you help me? I seem to be lost. But there was no one there. No one who could have said so low and sad. So am I. Of course there was no one. With one icy finger, she jabbed the button to send the window back up. Just her imagination, just fatigue playing tricks. There was no man standing in the forest in a storm. No man who knew her name. It was just the sort of foolishness her mother would have dreamed up. The woman lost in the enchanted forest in a dramatic storm, and the handsome man, most likely a prince.